talk about it. Yeah.
Yay. Oh, hi, Ree.
Hello, you guys. How are you? Sorry, I have a lot of stuff going on right now. My phone died, so yeah, I had to bring that back up. And
Okay.
then Ray's having a cookout at the house, so I'm trying to get that together. And then I got to pack too.
My
Okay.
gosh.
Okay, so yes, we're back, and we haven't had an episode of the UPA in I don't know how long because we had such great interviews, and everything has been going well, getting it popping. UPA is doing great right now, and today we have one of our best friends, Shannon, and
Yes.
she's going to be talking with us today. She's joined us. Um, Danny's, if you want to introduce Shannon
Yes.
and get it popping.
Yes. So, if you don't know, then
Now you
now you
know.
know. Okay. You are on the UPod. Finally. I think this will be a recurring thing, just FYI.
Yes, most definitely.
But
Look at Shannon. Look at Shannon face.
where we are overly obsessed, unsung, and underground.
Ooh,
We embrace artists and creatives and all that they do, and we just love music too. So Shannon is actually a licensed therapist, but
yes.
she is also a writer. She has just written a book, and it's on sale on her website and Amazon, and it will be in bookstores soon. It's called
Amazing.
Story of My Life Journal, and it's amazing. If you haven't got it, we will have the website at the bottom of the screen. Please visit her website to get the
Most
journal.
definitely.
She is a writer. She is also a playwright. She wrote a play and acted and directed all of the above. It was
I mean,
called,
and the list goes on.
yes.
Oh my gosh.
Confessions of Hopeless. What is it? It was
Confessions of the Hopeless.
Confessions of the Hopeless. It
Which
was
was amazing.
amazing.
Thank you. Directed by
Amazing.
Doug Wilson.
Yes.
I I stepped back from directing, but yes.
Good, good. And she is a poet, and I mean the list goes on. And
That's
she's
what I'm
just, yeah,
saying.
the list goes on. So thank you for coming by, sliding by the Ooh Pod.
Yes, Shannon.
Thanks for having me. Thank you so much. Because you guys are doing big things. So to be up here is like, who am I to be sitting with you guys? I don't know.
No, thank you for your support, your friendship. It's
Everything.
yeah,
It
awesome.
is appreciated for real.
Yes.
I appreciate you guys as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, this is something that we like a topic that is a first for us, but we think it
Mhm,
is very necessary to just discuss it.
mhm,
So our audience can kind of hear. We personally
mhm,
know of, people as well as ourselves, like everyone kind of has a thing,
mhm,
like something in a way that they run to or go to when they're having hard times. Well, recently though, we got news this past Saturday that DMX was in grave condition, according to
Mm,
a lot of media sites, uh, from an overdose, a drug overdose. And
mhm,
for a lot of people that do know DMX, they know his story and they know his background, where he's come from, and he's been battling drug abuse for a long time. And I am personally one of the biggest fans
ever.
ever
yeah.
of Earl Simmons. If anyone knows
Yes.
me, they know how much I love him. So I'm not
Mhm,
really taking this too well, to be honest. It's
yeah.
been in my thoughts a lot since I've heard about it. So
Mhm,
I just in general, it's just really disheartening to hear that after all these years, it's still it's still a thing for him.
mhm.
So, I just would love to kind of get your thoughts on it. I mean, how do you feel about it, Ree? first?
Well, with me, I am, of course, empathy, everything, and just, just want to definitely make sure that he's in our prayers and in our thoughts daily, because I know it's a constant battle. Of course, like you mentioned, we are all battling something. A lot of artists definitely battle a lot of things, and most of them or majority of them result to drugs. I mean, you know, it's something that a lot of people go through in that industry. And what we definitely want to provide is that, a lot of people need to take accountability. We definitely need support. They always need support. And also the community also is in this as well. That was the main three topics that we were going to touch on today in this episode. And yeah, it's a lot of artists that go through it and still battling with the drug addiction. So
Yeah. I mean, just to name a few, like people that actually have been open about like their drug uses that are in the music industry. I know Lil Wayne, like
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
he's a popular, well-known figure that openly uses it and talks about it in his music. Who else? Debbie Lovato, she's had her her struggles with it. Some of my favorite artists that have passed away from alcohol or drug usage or overdoses is Amy Winehouse.
mm-hmm.
Um, that was a great loss
Yes,
for me,
Yeah.
and I still listen to her music and just get emotional at listening to
Mm.
it. And it's so crazy that like when I listen to her lyrics and listen to her music, it's just very dark but
it is.
enjoyable, which is something I
Mm-hmm.
actually
Mm.
would love to talk to you and discuss with you. It's just like weird how I'm really like jamming to something
Mm.
that's just so dark,
Dark, and that she was really
Mm.
going through something during that time.
Yeah.
And you can, in her music, you can hear it, and definitely in most of her performance, you can see
Mhm.
also as well. And just it's just something that majority of them battle with. I
Yeah.
know a little bit of favor of my artists that have been on recovery for a long time, which has been Elton John, which is one of my favorites. I love him to death. Everything that he does is amazing to me. So
Mhm.
and also Fergie has had a battling, but she's been in recovery for a while, as
I
well
didn't
as
even know that. I didn't even
yeah,
Yeah, I
realize
didn't
that.
know that either.
and
Mhm.
Lady Gaga and Pink as well. So those are a little bit of my favorite artists that
Mhm.
have been, in recovery, and they have been doing well, as well as Britney Spears. She was in the spotlight and she went through a lot of
Mm.
stuff as well. So she was definitely in that, and she's in recovery. And
Mm. Mm.
few of my favorites that have passed away that had died by overdose has been um, wow, Rick James
Mhm.
and
Mm.
David Ruffin from The Temptations, which was one of my favorites.
Yeah, I
And
can't even watch that movie like that.
I know, and
Mhm.
Whitney Houston, the greatest of all time.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
it's a lot, and it definitely go through a lot, and just praying for those that are in the music industry that, are definitely still battling that. So
Mhm.
what's your take on it, Shannon? Like, um, what's your take on this topic?
Like pretty much, like
Mm.
one music and the people that's in the music industry that are openly users and
Mm.
like I feel like it's literally a part of their art,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm.
if they're not using, it's like almost as if they can't create.
Right.
Like
Mm. Yeah.
what is your
Or, when they normally use it majority of the time to stay awake and try to get things done too. So it's like,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't specialize in substance abuse, but I have worked with a lot of clients who have co-occurring disorders. So that means that they have like substance abuse disorder as well as a mental health disorder. And I think even kind of piggybacking off of what you were saying, Parita, about feeling as if they have to use in order to kind of keep up with their lifestyle. Because you think
Mm-hmm.
about like the demands, like nowadays, it's like you have to pop out music like that to stay relevant.
Yep.
You know, the late hours with concerts and doing all the things that they have to do and trying to maintain that lifestyle, it can put a lot of pressure on you and feel like, hey, I have to use the substance or take these pills or whatever the case may be to be able to stay awake and stay alert and things like that. So I think that that can definitely have an impact on it. And kind of what I was thinking about also is just a lot of times through music, it can be therapeutic
Mm-hmm.
where writing, singing it, things like that, it can bring out and allow a space to be able to discuss or get out a lot of the things that you've experienced. But it also, with that, can bring up a lot of emotion that can be difficult to manage. So you think about, hey, I'm pouring out my story, all the things I've experienced through my writing, and then I have to go and perform it in front of people. But what do I
Right.
do with those emotions that are connected with it? Because it's not just a song. Most of the time, it's like, this is my life story. These are
Yes.
like personal details of my life. And
Mm-hmm.
bringing that up, it can bring up memories that can be so intense that you feel like you're back in that space or in that moment. So,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know any, major artists, but I can only imagine, especially if they've experienced like really traumatic events, that going through that process of the writing and doing that by themselves and not with someone who's trained to help them to really kind of process all of those things and allowing them sort of the space and time they need to sort through all of the emotions that may be connected to their story.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot to manage. And if you don't have
Definitely.
and if you don't have the tools to be able to deal with the feelings that can come up with that, that can be sort of a dangerous territory to be in. And then if you have added on to that the pressure of, hey, I have to keep pouring out my story so that I can make money
I can
because,
make,
Yep.
the
yes.
labels are looking for this. And, so there's this kind of tug of, I have to give more of myself, tell more of my story because that's what people like, that's how people connect and things like
Yep.
that. But it's also, what is that doing for you, and not really allowing yourself the space to be able to deal with those memories, those thoughts and things like that that come up. And so a lot of times it
Definitely.
can be easier to just pick up a drug or a substance, especially if that's what you've used in the past, as something to help you to kind of just skate through that so you can move on to the next show, move on to do the next thing. So I guess
Mm-hmm.
that's really my take on it. I wonder, and that may not be everyone's story,
Yeah.
but I just wonder, what that is like for them, and if they really do take into consideration the
Right.
impact of pouring out your heart on a regular basis in front of people that you don't know, and then having to deal with the after effects of that.
Mm-hmm.
And other people, we look at a lot of celebrities, some of them, they may have like anxiety. And so performing
Exactly.
in front of, doing those things, like, I have to do it. It's what I have to do. But doing that is anxious. And they don't, again, have the tools that they need to be able to constantly put themselves out there and be in front of the spotlight. And, something goes wrong, then everybody knows what's going wrong. They don't have the time and space to be able to process it privately. So yes, I
Mm-hmm.
think there are a lot of different dynamics and things that come into play when you think about artists and substance abuse and mental health as well. Um,
And to
and
piggyback off of that, Shannon, I remember that Danny's had sent me an episode of Katy Perry when she was backstage. She was going through a bad anxiety attack and she had to
mm,
perform. She didn't want to do it. She was
yeah,
really like to
She
the
was,
point where she did not want to go on stage, but she had
mm,
to with millions of people out there that she had to
yeah,
perform for.
yeah, I think it
And
was, wasn't it? She literally was just going through a divorce. Like, I think the divorce
yeah.
was just
mm,
announced, or she was just like, it was official or something
mm-hmm,
like that. And
Mm-hmm.
she was like in tears, like, and
Yes.
then turned around and went on stage.
Turned around and went on stage and killed the performance. Like she had a whole
Mm.
meltdown before and then went on stage and had to perform. Just put on that face. Yeah, I understand definitely what you're talking about, Shannon. That's a big
It's,
major thing to do. It's a lot of pressure.
yeah, it can be a lot of pressure, being able to deal that, because then you think about it. If I cancel the show and I do best was for my mental health at that time, what does that look like? People
What are the
aren't going to want to
costs?
come to my next. Yeah, what are the costs to that? And
Mm-hmm.
so think about like constantly. Oh well, I don't know if it's constantly, but I'm just kind of making assumptions about this. But
Yeah.
on a regular basis, just sacrificing your own mental health because it's your job, because you don't want to miss out on the money that you have to make, or you have these contracts that say you have to be here, here, and here,
Mm-hmm.
but not necessarily incorporating or thinking about, hey, what if I am just having sort of a rough day, or a major life change is happening and everybody's talking about it, and the songs that I wrote, because we have connections. You think about it, when we listen to music, it reminds us of certain things. You can sit
Definitely.
there and listen and a song, and it reminds you of the summertime, or it,
Yes,
it
and
brings
Marie.
up, yeah, yeah, and like, it brings up all of that emotion. So just imagine, just thinking about Katy Perry. What if this song that she wrote was about her
Yep,
Right.
husband,
that was about her
about,
husband.
that, and she's already grieving the loss of that relationship, and now I have to go and perform the song that I wrote
Mm.
My heart
about
is
that.
beating so fast.
Yes, mine too. Because
Girl,
I'm like, oh, it's
I ain't
serious.
having the show. I'm gone. Bye, y'all.
They are strong for that because my tail would have been like, listen, they're gonna have to wait a minute, like an hour, tell them to go to the concession stands, come
Gonna
back,
hit
because I have to get myself together.
girl gonna hit a Lauren Hill, okay?
Hello?
See, but look at the reputation that Lauren Hill has,
Yes.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
People, they don't even want to have her at a concert.
that's true.
People
Yes.
don't. They like make fun of her. It's all types of jokes and stuff like that about it. But we don't know her story. What if
We
her story
don't.
was that she had to take care of her mental health? She couldn't sing that song because that was going to hit a spot that she wasn't ready to deal with.
Mm, mm,
Right.
mm, 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 mm. Yep.
So,
Yep.
and as consumers, we don't see it like that. We see that, hey, I took off work, like I'm ready to
I'm
party,
ready.
to listen to this
Yes.
song, things like that. And don't take
Mm.
into consideration the fact that, they also have the right,
They do.
now everybody's kind of talking about boundaries and what that looks like, being able to say no, and people are really getting empowered to do that. But then we look at celebrities, or, artists, and do they get that same right?
No.
Are they allowed to do that? Can they take a hiatus, a break, and come back and still be able to get the attention and, the
Mm.
promotion that they need?
And
Or
that,
is
Right.
it that,
yeah.
hey, I have to keep going because I'm not going to be hot anymore, somebody else is going to take over,
Right.
the fans aren't going to follow me. So
I
yeah, I think
know.
it's
It makes me
definitely.
it makes me wonder, like when you say that, I think of Kendrick. I want him to come back so bad.
Me too. But you know what he does that is amazing to me? You know what he does?
Hmm.
Out of his 24-hour day, he takes an hour to himself every day. It doesn't matter what's going on. It doesn't matter what meetings he
Mm,
had. It does not matter. Every day he takes an hour for himself.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever
wow.
whatever he has or whatever's going on, he will stop for that 1 hour for that
Mm,
time of the day to do what he needs to do to go, and then he'll go to whatever else he has to do, like meetings, he'll go to sessions, he'll go to write, but for an hour he takes that time,
yeah,
which is
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I think everybody needs, an hour might not seem
Mm,
like a long time, but
It
everybody
doesn't.
needs that little little bit of time to
Mm-hmm.
yourself to make
yeah,
sure that you're taking care of yourself. So
Yeah.
I love
yeah,
that about
So
him.
yeah.
what are some ideas, Shannon, for maybe some artists that may be going through the same thing? back to what I was saying with like maybe even using it to create their art or, whatever
Mm,
it is, or they feel like they're kind of dependent on it. Um,
mm,
maybe it's just like maybe drinking or maybe smoking weed and it's just like, all right, I'm in a zone. All right, let me flow, let me do whatever, whatever. But
mm,
I mean, as a creative
Mm-hmm.
mm.
and also a therapist, what are some suggestions that you have and maybe alternatives?
Right.
Or is it
Yeah.
really situational?
I mean, I think it can be situational, but then there are just some things that generally you can do. I think one thing, our minds are very powerful.
Mm.
So if you think that the substance is what makes you creative, then the substance is what's going to make you creative. And so, really, I think it has to do with your mentality, changing the way that you think about it,
Mm.
and changing even the relationship that you have with that substance. To really be able to be honest with yourself about the impact that it has. I hear, and even when I hear that, I think a lot about bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder, it has to do with extreme lows and extreme highs, which is considered mania. And in that stage, usually people like it because they're like, man, I'm so productive. I'm able to get these things done. I'm able to concentrate a little more,
Right.
and things like that. But they don't take into consideration the damage that happens
Mm-hmm.
during those
Mm-hmm.
times. And so I think it's the same thing when you think about substance abuse. Yeah, you can acknowledge those things, but when you really look at the benefits and then the negatives that are associated with it, does it really pan out? Is it really
Right.
worth kind of the risk that's involved? So
Mm-hmm.
I really, my first thought is that, being able to acknowledge that, hey, this isn't something that's working for me, and really knowing why it's not, and getting the help and support that you need to be able to do that. Because, especially depending on how long you've been using a certain substance, your body becomes adjusted to that. So then it's not even just like a mental thing, it's also your body craving it.
Right.
And you having to have the right person in place to help you, so that, because it can be even some physical impact if you suddenly stop using a substance, depending on how long you've been using it or how much you use and how often you use it. So having, specialists like a substance abuse counselor, your physician, mental health therapist to work alongside you to be able to kind of reduce your usage and really be able to do the work that's needed. Um, and it's not in all cases, but
Mm-hmm.
in most cases, um, the reason why people use substances is because they've experienced some type of trauma, or just in general, or they have some underlying mental health diagnosis that has gone untreated, and they don't have the tools to be able to cope. And so using substances is like an easy kind of go to, in a sense, to say, okay, I don't know how to deal with what's happening with me, so I'm going to go and use this to kind of treat it. Uh, so yes, I think that you definitely need to be able to get the support that you need to be able to
Definitely.
deal with it, as well as some of the underlying things that may be present. If it is like anxiety or depression, get the treatment that addresses that, the root cause, that
Mm.
can help to be able to deal with whatever it is you have to deal with that you think that you need the substances for.
Definitely agree with Shannon because it's definitely most needed because a lot of people feel alone at the times that they are
Mm,
doing stuff and they don't have anyone in their corner that they're able to go to or talk to or any of that, and they feel as though that nothing is going to help them when really in all actuality, if you did have the support of others or the support of a therapist or someone who can assist you in your need, then maybe majority of the things could be prevented.
Yeah. Shannon, do you have a suggestion for any individuals that may not have access to, insurance, or they just don't really know where to begin or start in finding help for, trauma or substance abuse or any, mental health matters?
yeah, yeah. So SAMHSA, that's the Substance Abuse and Mental Health agency, it's a government agency. They have a 24-hour confidential line that people can call from anywhere within the United States. So you let them know where you live and what type of service you're interested in, and they can tell you in your area what your options are based off of your insurance, or if you don't have insurance as well. So that's always a go-to option, and they're available for mental health as well as substance abuse. So that's an option. I always encourage people check with your insurance company because a lot of people don't know the benefits that they have. So you could have mental health, be able to just pay copays with for mental health sessions or for substance abuse treatment. So those may be options as well. I know in the state of Maryland, they have the what is it called? Pro bono counseling project.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, if you don't have insurance or something like that, you could go through them and you're allotted a certain amount of sessions that you can see with a therapist for free. So therapists donate their time to be able to offer that service as well. So it's a quite a few different options available.
And I know through different jobs what that people may have, they
Mm.
also have the employee assistance program and majority of
Yep.
all jobs where you are able to have those free counseling sessions, 3 sessions. It could be
Mm,
used for you. It could also be used for a family member. So it just
mm,
all depends. And they have a lot of different options that you can choose from. They have everything that you can think of that you can go on there, and
yeah.
they're always open 24/7. So
Right.
Hmm.
And you
Yeah.
got the UPI, y'all. So for
yes,
any
definitely hit
listeners.
us up. We can point y'all in the right direction.
Exactly, exactly.
Mm,
For me in particular, I can relate to the whole music therapy. I've really counted on music as a part of my healing process for a lot of things. Just honestly, the other day, I was going through something and I played music to go to sleep. I think it's,
mm,
for me, I mean, it's a way of living, I think we just have to really be careful too on what we're listening to. That was my
Definitely.
last question that I wanted to ask you. What
mm,
your viewpoint was towards like lyrics and just being aware of like the words that you're listening to or the music that you're listening to and really how it influences your everyday life. Like I
mm,
know that a lot of people have been talking lately about the Little Nas X song and the video, which it comes off as if it's like, demonic and um,
mm,
all of those things. And
mm,
a lot of people, especially in the Christian community, are in an uproar about it. And I know that personally, I have like two different stances on it. One in
mm,
particular, which may be unique to most, but people have done that repeatedly. The Madonnas,
Uh-huh.
like,
mm,
a lot of artists, music artists kind of just push the envelope and do things like,
mm,
like a virgin. Like when that came out, people were just like, wait, what? She's like, has the cross and all of that. So,
Yes.
it's like, but it's music. And these are artists that we look up to and we listen to. So I would like to see your viewpoint on that and the influence of music and mental health.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen the Lil Nas X. Is
Mm-hmm.
that his name? Okay, yeah, I haven't seen the video or anything, so I can't really speak on
Yeah.
that. But just
Mm-hmm.
in general, one of a popular thing that's happened now is affirmations, right? The idea
Mm-hmm.
of you saying these positive things to yourself so that you can be able to retain that, and walk and think positively. And so when we have the different songs that have maybe negative lyrics or talk about things that are I don't know, like drug dealing or just the things that aren't positive, I guess, in
Exactly.
a sense.
Mm-hmm.
What you're doing is sort of doing like an affirmation with yourself. You're listening to it, you're speaking the lyrics and things like that over yourself. And so that feeds you that negativity. And so it can be easy to pull up those types of thoughts than it would be to do the positive thoughts. And so that's where I think it comes into play, being able to be intentional about what you're listening to,
Definitely.
especially if you're aware that, hey, I'm already in a bad space.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't the time for me to listen to something that is
At
related
all.
to that or going to put me down or in a bad space. So,
So
you know,
just
even
going through
being
a
intentional.
breakup, just going through a breakup and listen to Jasmine Sullivan, Bust Your Windows.
That really make you want to go bust your windows.
Ah,
Okay. 'Cause
it gives you that
it
energy. Thank
does.
you.
And it makes you
It
feel as though you can do it, like with your hands.
mhm,
You don't even need a,
mhm. You
map or
start.
anything.
No, it's a real thing because you start to visualize it.
You
They're
Mm-hmm.
do.
giving you, you know, the words, and you're visualizing what it would look like, what it would feel like to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
really, you know, when you think about behaviors, that's kind of where it starts. It starts with the thought, and then you get the feeling, and then you can visualize it, and then you end up acting on it. And so if
Mm-hmm.
you continually put yourself in that type of atmosphere where it's kind of negativity, then you are going to be maybe a little more likely to
To
act on
to
it
do
than
it.
if you
Right.
were listening to something, or, you know, taking in things that were coming from a more positive perspective. And again, that's kind of going back to the idea of the affirmations. The more that you're saying it, you're seeing those affirming words about yourself, the more that you can kind of receive it, and be able to walk in those affirmations. And so it can be the same thing when you think about music and like the negativity. You know, I think, you know, with you guys, I ask, like, has anybody ever said something to you that like you've never forgotten, that like you're in a moment, something happens and you're reminded of kind of what somebody
Yes.
said to you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
words are powerful, and depending on like the emotion that was connected in that moment, or the place that that person held in your life, it can stick to you
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
is
and
so
come up.
true.
Yeah.
And they had so much controversy with the lyrics and how it played a major part on people doing certain things. And a lot of artists got attitudes
Mm,
like, no, this does not happen. But to be honest, it really does happen. People
mm,
really do sometimes do what they hear in a song.
And I
So
just, yeah, I think
mm,
about back when I feel like after, like, I'm not sure of the
it
trail
was
of
like during
events.
NW, you talk about NWA
Well, yeah,
during
with
that
NW,
time.
but even before then, when rock
Hmm.
and roll came out,
Oh,
when
yes.
where
mm,
people, like the elders would look at them like, why are you listening to this rock and roll? But
Hmm.
now I can understand like
I get it.
why secular music is what it is, or why people look at it like that, because it's opening a window to like
mm,
negativity. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Even as
yeah.
much as you want it to be positive,
Mm,
so
yeah.
hmm
Yeah. And I'm not saying, you know, one plus one equals two. So
yeah.
because you listen to that, then
Right.
it
Not at
means
all.
that you're going to do exactly what the song says.
Mm,
But I think, like you said, it kind of desensitizes you to certain things,
that's a good
so
Yes.
word.
that
Yeah.
it seems like more of an option. Like you were saying, that door is kind of open in a sense.
Hmm.
Yes.
And depending on what you're going through. And that's why I say, you know, being aware of where you are emotionally is important, so that you can be intentional about what you're listening to, what you're taking in, because that can have an impact on your emotions and just being able to deal with those feelings.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, well, thank you, thank you.
Yes, Shannon.
Yes,
Thank you,
we
guys. I
totally
made it on
appreciate.
the UPod.
Yes.
Yes.
Yay!
Tell them who you rocking with.
Yes. Okay. So I'm Shannon Clark of Restore You Counseling and Consultation, and I'm rocking with the UPod.
Woo!
Ooh.
Ooh.